social entrepreneur, speakers, youth advocate, someone known for his transformative impact on technology, youth empowerment, social innovation. He's also the former leader of the philanthropies and corporate social responsibility at Microsoft Nigeria. He played a pivotal role in driving tech-driven social impact initiatives, fostering digital inclusion, and empowering communities with skills for the future. Online, he's known as someone who actually encourages jackpine. So I'm having a good time. You know, it's that kind of a Wednesday for me. His name is Olusola Amusan. He's here. He's in the studios. Prominent Nigerian social entrepreneur, speaker, youth advocate. So you're welcome, sir.
Good morning.
Okay. Was I wrong?
Well, no, you're not. Not essentially. I mean, I would prefer to put it in other lights, but it's exciting to be here. Thank you.
First time in Ghana?
No way. I can't even count anymore. I've lost count. Ghana is home for me.
Great. So this jack buying thing. First of all, we'll come to what brought you to Ghana, but yes. Where does this whole image of Olusola helps people fly out?
Where did it start from?
Yeah,
right?
I'm wondering.
So I think sometimes around 2012 was the first time I came to Ghana for the African Youth and Governance Convergence by the Youth Bridge Foundation. So when I came that time, it changed my worldview. Okay. I came by road. I saw Benin Republic. I saw Togo. I saw Ghana, and it felt like, why have I just been locked in one corner of the planet? So ever since, because of how that changed me, the following year I was in Zambia and Germany, and that's how I just started. That was France, then Sweden, then Denmark, and so on and so forth. So since then, my worldview changed. I felt like no human should be created to just stay in one corner of the planet for the rest of their life. And then I became an advocate for global opportunities.
Was this pre or post Microsoft?
This was just before Microsoft. And Microsoft became an enabler for me as well to be able to see the world, because I would go to, Middle East Africa Summit in Turkey. I will go to Africa Summit in Nairobi. Then I joined the Global Shapers community of the World Economic Forum. And that also took me to like South Africa and to other places. Then I became an Unleash Fellow, which is the SDGs program. That one took me to Denmark, and then Microsoft again took me to France, and then the UK, and then the US. So those opportunities came out from me desiring to go global. And ever since I started talking about going global, then I joined Microsoft, became more. I didn't even know we'll be creating Vesti, which is what people are now calling Japa now.
Yeah, because it's an amazing invention. We'll talk more into that. So what brings you to Ghana?
So what brings me to Ghana today, or this particular period, is a going global event or campaign that we're doing, which is Africans have the right to go global. Africans have a responsibility.
But when we go, we don't come.
One thing we don't do, though, is when we go, we don't forget home.
Yeah, of course, we don't forget home.
We don't forget home. So we don't forget our music. We don't forget our movies. We send money back home.
We don't forget our food.
Remittances are high. We don't forget our food. There's a Ghanaian market near my house in Dallas called Asafo. Every time I go there, I'm looking for fufu and light soup and everything. So it's exciting because we don't forget all of that. So we have a responsibility to go global. Imagine if Bill Gates created Microsoft and it was limited to only America. Then we can't use Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel.
Of course.
We have a Samsung tablet here right now. If those people created those brands, but they didn't think about taking it to the world, we won't be able to. So part of my own life's mission is to help Africans realize that going global is a necessity. It's important to take whatever ideas you have, whether it's a book you have written, whether it's a song you've done, whether it's your sports or arts or entertainment or science invention, you have to take it to the rest of the world. And you have to see the world to be able to appreciate the value of what you have back home. And this impacts on you in a unique way. You see that almost everybody who has done significantly well. I was watching like archives of Martin Luther King Jr., even Malcolm X and some of those guys. Like I saw them come to Ghana during the civil rights movement, to come and really see and experience like humanity in a different way. So that's always been my advocacy. So coming to Ghana this time is for the Going Global campaign. There is a meetup we're doing that we're encouraging people to say, hey.
Who is organizing this?
Yes, this is organized by Vesti.
Okay.
And now this is the time, I guess, to get to talk about Vesti.
Yeah. Okay. So now tell us, when did Vesti come into the conversation?
Into the picture, yeah. So in 2019, I felt like, as a young man, I'd spent my time at Microsoft. 5 years down, $2 million invested every year through Microsoft to nonprofits. I was covering Microsoft Nigeria and Ghana. We're doing employability programs called Aiki and several other things like that. And I felt like this is not what I wanted to do with my 30s. I wanted to see the world. So I decided, I said, let me even move. This is not visiting now. Let me move away from Nigeria and move to America, because Nigeria doesn't have a space program. If I wanted to go to space, it means that my vision is, so that's why I tell people sometimes, like, there are certain things we want to do as Africans that we could do out of patriotism and say, let us do it in Ghana, in Nigeria. But if the country doesn't have that program, what are you going to do?
There's nothing you can do. So, your hands are tied.
Exactly. So I moved to the US because I was going to raise money for a data and AI company called Coven Works. So I went to the US to drive that. Then the pandemic came. So it was during the pandemic that the idea of Vesti came. There was a certain police brutality protest in Nigeria in October of 2020. Mm-hmm. The End SARS movement.
Exactly, yeah.
So it was during that period, the whole euphoria of the moment, the fear, the anxiety of what's going on in my own country, that I did a random Instagram video to say, I've been talking to you guys about going global all the while. Like, if you're actually tired of this situation right now, you want to move abroad, hit me up. And then 6,000 people came into my Telegram group. Webinars were getting like all filled up. It was just crazy.
What were you telling them?
I was essentially telling them, listen, if you've been home for 1 whole month now because of this protest, imagine how much time and value you've lost. If you wanted to like go on and do a master's in microbiology, this is the university you can go for free in America. If you wanted to become like be part of the New York Fashion Week and you're a fashion entrepreneur in Nigeria, this is the next program, and there is a grant supporting you to do that. If you want, so I just kept telling them about different opportunities, and people were like, "Okay, now I'm ready for this." Oh, so there's this country looking for me, or there's a city in the US that will pay you for relocation because they are trying to look for more cloud engineers. So we started spotlighting those opportunities like that. And that's what got people very excited about coming into the Telegram group. That was how Vesti started.
Oh, amazing. So you became like an ambassador at large. I mean,
you're
sending Africans out.
Exactly. And think about it, like much later in retrospect, now realizing that that's what Philippines has been doing for years. That's what India, China have been doing for years. Like they have a special set of programs that export talent and import value. So they export talent consciously. They're in control of the narrative of how many doctors, how many engineers, how many pharmacists they actually train for the world.
You think Africa should do this?
I think Africa should consciously do this. The way we export cocoa, the way we export, oil, like everything. We've always said this, like our best value is not the resources beneath us. It's actually our human capital.
It's true.
We're so resilient, we're so smart, we're so hardworking people. So if we go with the patriotic mindset and go out to the world to build, to become whatever it is we want to become, we can come back and headquarter that value back home. And I can give you examples. Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, Indian, came to America as a 30-something-year-old for his master's program. Sundar Pichai came in for his master's degree at about 26 or 27. I'll give you all kinds of examples. These guys have all gone back, built massive campuses. Back home for Microsoft, for some of their biggest investments are in India, surprisingly. So it's easy for some of these companies to pull out of Africa because there's not enough, even Africans that have risen to like that all-mark position to be able to say, you know what, our AI campus is going to be in Ghana. And this not
you
just
need a Ghanaian to push
You need the Ghanaian to push. This is not just some 30 million 5 years project. No, we're talking billions of dollars in investment. and long-term partnerships with the continent. Many of this will happen when we go out and then people argue and say, why don't we create our own Microsoft? Why don't we create our own Google? And that's another symposium conversation. But as of now, can we plug into Coca-Cola, into Pepsi, into IBM, into NVIDIA, and infiltrate all those places, some of our best minds, essentially, and let them be the best neurosurgeons everywhere in the world and bring all that value to come back, all that experience to come back, all that resources to come back. I got challenged the day I found out that the venture funding in the state of Maryland alone in the US is more than all the venture funding in Africa combined. The state of Maryland alone. So sometimes it's arrogance to be trying to say, no, I'm not going anywhere. You're going
I love Africa.
I love Africa.
I'm a son of the soil.
I'm a son of the soil. You're still nothing has changed the fact that you're a son of the soil. Remember, first, you're a son of the planet.
Okay.
You're a son of the earth, first of all. And I keep telling people, visas were invented to basically create competitive advantage for a group of people. So you have to think about it. Like, many of these guys don't even need visas to come to our own country.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Our people actually beg them to come.
I will actually beg them to come, So, don't think about that. Don't think about those barriers. Think about what it takes to overcome those barriers and become the best that you can be as a human.
So now you began to change people's mindset. You literally opened the world up to them.
That's right.
Then they started going out.
That's right.
Then Vesti became what?
Then Vesti went from being a Telegram group to automating this. So I found out I couldn't answer all the questions alone. Many of them had other challenges that were springing up, like financial services. Now you've told me where to go. How do I buy my flight ticket? How do I get funding for this? How do I get loans for this? So we started stacking up a series of services. By the partnership experience I had growing up in Microsoft, I knew that you can't do it all. So we built a mobile app, and that mobile app available in like 35 countries, including Ghana, of course. Over 10,000 Ghanaians have downloaded the app right now. And I think there should be more now because we just crossed 1 million downloads globally for this platform, and that's mostly in Africa.
People really want to leave Africa.
Yes, exactly. And to let you know that it's a global issue, we have 200,000 downloads from Bangladesh. So this is not even like something that is only peculiar to Africans. It's something that is a global thing. So data shows us that about 272 million immigrants are living in a country other than where they were born right now. So that in the world, we have about 300 million immigrants. That's 3.5% of the world population. Now, if there were no barriers, that number would be 1 billion. Like, if everybody could go anywhere they wanted to go. And that's our vision the next 3 decades. We want to create a protocol that allows anybody, regardless of their socioeconomic background, to be able to move anywhere in the world. So the platform moved from Telegram to a mobile app on the App Store and in the Google Play Store.
You want to change the world?
Yes.
That's a big vision.
As they say, you have to be crazy enough to want to change the world.
Yeah, I mean, so now what are the services that Vesti is providing to these immigrants?
Yeah, so Vesti started out with payment services that's been able to pay for tuition, being able to pay for admission, examinations like the credential evaluation, like World Evaluation Services, all those kind of things that people need when they are moving abroad. Nursing council exams, PLAB exams, that's how we started. Then we added legal.
When you say you pay, like what? If I have my Naira.
So if you have your Naira or you have your Ghana cedis and you want to pay in USD or Euros to all those schools, sometimes it takes many days because our traditional banks are not built for that. But with Vesti, because we maintain liquidity and partnerships in those countries and with those schools, we do the remittance to those schools.
Oh,
so
wow.
basically that's where it works. So to the lawyers, to the schools, to the government agencies, we make all those payments. Then we added loans on it. So meaning if you don't have the money to do it, then we added the ability to be able to get funding from like partners like Empower, partners like Prodigy Finance and other partners that allow you, because people won't naturally find these guys. Now we've added legal services. So we can now file, we have lawyers in our team now where we can, migration lawyers that are based in the US, in the UK, who can help you with like getting a work permit, green card. So you are not just traveling and visiting and getting stuck there. That's the difference between the people who get prosperous and the people who face serious challenges and regret ever leaving home.
Vesti. If you joined us, it's 9:25. His name is Olusola Amusan. He's here. He's a CEO and co-founder of Vesti. He's telling us about this whole thing, this movement he started. It started like a joke, but now the thing is scary. His dream in the next few decades is you can take your bag tomorrow and go anywhere you want to. No one should be able to stop you. That is mind-boggling to think that how is AI playing into all of this services you're providing?
Fantastic. So artificial intelligence is changing everything in practicable new ways. First, this is it's the most important, significant, transformation that has happened to the world since the mobile revolution.
Okay.
And if you are not infusing AI into what you're doing, you're missing out. It's like not using the internet or not using fire, or not using heat. That's what it is. So, and as somebody who is a computer science major myself, a software practitioner, I latched on to the AI revolution very early. As a matter of fact, like I told you, my previous company was to build AI in America before the pandemic struck. So as soon as we got balanced on Vesti and we got like 150,000 downloads on the platform, we started thinking about how we're going to use AI. So currently we use AI for identity management. We use it for fraud prevention. We use it for continued customer support. Okay. Because like when we got viral early this year, with the H-1B visa lottery, which is basically a skilled worker lottery for America that many Africans thought that had been cancelled because the diversity visa lottery ended for countries like Nigeria.
Okay.
So when we got so viral, like our team couldn't handle the customer support anymore. So we had to shoot in and infuse artificial intelligence for continued customer response. But today we use AI for optical character recognition. We use AI for fraud prevention and pattern matching. And now we're building a proprietary tool that helps to match any human with the countries that want them. So part of my theory is that the reason why people spend too much time trying to move to a new country,
they don't know if they are
needed in that country. So we decided to build AI that matches you with your skill sets with the country that wants you.
What is this man saying? So what? You want to get to a point where if I download the Vesti app,
yes,
you would seek some details on who I am.
Yes, that's
and
correct.
Based on those details,
yes,
you will tell me that Belgium or Afghanistan wants you.
Exactly. So in fact, we are launching the beta on January 2nd. The beta version of this is going to use your simple LinkedIn profile. If you post your LinkedIn profile, it will tell you like top 5 countries that want you and that you can move to in the next 6 months. So essentially, yeah. So Dubai, for example, has announced their golden visa. Taiwan has announced their golden visa. Everybody wants to go to America. America also, you'll be able to see if you have a master's degree, you can move to America within 10 to 12 months because they are looking for master's degrees holders very much, because advanced degrees are very important. So yes, that's what the AI will be able to do.
You are not worried that you have become the merchant of Africa's brain drain?
I am not. I've been in conversations where this has been asked a number of times.
Yeah, I'm asking because it's occurring to me.
Ultimately, what we are doing is like a net brain gain, ultimately. Because what people don't know is that moving in a world that's become a global village right now, when you move from Ghana to San Francisco, your salary as a software engineer increases from $10,000 a year to $120,000. That's precisely what happens. Now you begin to think about building a library in Kumasi. You think about building a sports facility in your hometown. Now you begin to. So I found out that moving from Nigeria, even though I thought I was doing well for people, moving to from Nigeria to America changed my worldview about what else I could do. Now I'm building a university in my community, and that wouldn't have been possible back home in Nigeria, and that wouldn't have been possible if I didn't make that shift. Now I was on a panel last week at the Mike Adenuga Center, and I told them for the first time that I am part of an initiative that is not yet been fully announced that is going to make sure that a space rocket actually takes off from Ekpe, Lagos, Nigeria in 2032. And you could never even imagine that if you're still trying to solve problems of food, clothing, and shelter. So it's ultimate brain gain for Africa. If you can get some of the smartest minds to see the world, the proof of their smartness is that they can't be recolonized where they go to. The proof of their intelligence is that they can take the value right there and headquarter it back home on the continent of Africa. And I'm seeing a lot of people like that.
It's 9:30. His name is Olusola Amusan, and he's the boss behind Vesti. Scary chap. Wants to change Africa, wants to change the world. But everywhere I pass, he seems to have prepared for me. I call him the merchant of the brain drain. He said it is actually a net brain gain, right? One of the things that has been said is that the democracy we're practicing on this continent is really not helping us, and that China borrowed from the West and made it their own. They borrow, they make it their own in electronics, in automation, and automobiles, and all that. You think this, your movement, now let's call it a movement because you want to change the world, so it's a movement. You think this movement actually, it's going to head towards that direction? We go, we borrow, we bring back.
I think it's going to be even better because the value of what we have today, like China wasn't building at a time where, AI is at this level where everybody can carry like a 5 gigabytes, device in their pockets, and be able to store. Knowledge wasn't this democratized at the time. With knowledge being democratized and payment infrastructure at all time, best, they can be, even though there's still room for improvement. I think that young Africans have some of the best times in the world to be able to do even better than China. I think that we have really limited ourselves in terms of what we consider our gross domestic product. And our GDP shouldn't be calculated by how much our mineral resources can give us. It should be calculated by how much the number of Africans that our working population can bring back to the continent. So when you think about 300 million young people, who have, above graduate education or a bachelor's degree, becoming like cloud engineers, becoming like programmers, becoming, music producers, becoming artists, becoming performers, and like multiply what value each one of them, if they were remitting $100,000 back to the continent, could actually be. And not because you want to see that as that's exactly what can happen, but it gives you a picture of what's those numbers that the IMF and the World Bank have been quoting and how untrue those numbers are. Because the true value of every single African, it really can be measured by, how much, gold that we're standing on or how much oil we're standing on. It's really about the fact that each single African could be like, a Zuckerberg, or could be like Tope Awuton of Calendly, could be like, Israel Adesanya, the boxer. It could be like any of those people. Like, we have enough star power, to be able to dominate the world and bring all that value to headquarters back in Africa. So I'm talking about 5, 10, 15, $20 trillion GDPs on the continent of Africa off of the talent that we're exporting. Not just some, numbers that have come as a result of what's the net export of cocoa or rubber or oil that we've done in the previous year. Let's think about what the exports value of companies like Florida Wave, companies, like Affinity, companies like all of these companies we've created on the continent, export value of how MTN essentially can take itself beyond like the African region and become like Verizon and Orange and all of those other companies, and do significantly well. We need to think about that.
Shola, this is your thing. It's scary. 60% of us are supposed to be under 25.
That's right.
And we're told the median age is like 19 as compared to the 35 in North America.
That's right.
The people you're speaking to now, the future of Africa, would listen to you and say, we're gone. Who then runs Africa? If all of them go away, who runs this continent for us?
First of all of us cannot go away.
Okay.
Secondly, the order of birth and death, is a continuous process. And don't forget that the way some people left in the 1970s, some people were coming back.
Okay.
So there is a platform there's a feature that we're launching now that's called Welcomer. It's essentially to help folks who are coming back onto the continent. So there are people who have spent their time, 20, 30 years at John Hopkins, and they want to come back to set up like an healthcare facility here in Ghana. There are people who are back just retired. There are also people who are back temporarily who want to just see what else they can learn the next 5 years. So one of the things we are investing in and supporting as a venture-backed company are initiatives that drive the coming back of young people as well, for festivals, for tourism, for activities, so that they don't lose touch with the continent. So there is really no fear to have in terms of who we build. don't forget what I said, like a lot of the good things that is entrenched in our DNA as Africans is we don't really forget home, especially if we are prosperous. That's why our goal is to make sure that when people move abroad, they find the opportunities that makes them prosper. Because when you prosper, you really want to drive that cyber truck in Accra. That's where you want to drive it.
Yeah, I mean, why would you?
Not in Dallas, not in New York.
It?
Who sees you?
Yeah.
So that's it. And I'm talking in the mind of many young people right now. Coming back home is really a priority for a lot of people when they succeed. And that's when they're not stuck, when they have their paper, when they are legal. They're like, 2-3 years. They're like, I'm back. I'm back. I want to be here.
Yeah, because why are you going to show off?
Again. Where are you going? Exactly. And it's still part of all of that is part of our culture. So I have never worried about that. I also believe that, the kids that we're giving birth to right now, especially in North America, they are not letting anybody, take their identity away from them. I'm seeing that a lot. They want to see Africa. They want to come back. They want to see what they can do. Even African Americans, as you know, are heading back to Ghana, for example.
A year of return was a big thing in Ghana.
Was a big thing in Ghana. So we'll continue to support those kind of initiatives and never forget that the reason why people are seeking opportunities globally is to bring that opportunity and value to headquarters back home.
You talking to you, you don't seem to see Africa as a collection of 53 countries.
So since I turned 16, I've always believed that I'm more African than I am Nigerian, or that I'm more African than I am, I feel like, again, I started seeing the atlas in my dad's office like very young. So I was always wondering, like, I love this map more than like any other tiny map. I mean, this is so cute. Anyways, but the key thing for me is that I think that Africa is more connected than we imagine. And coming out of Nigeria as a 22-year-old, which I think I should have done much earlier, and I always advocate for. As a fact, we have a Vesti adventure bus that is moving on January 31st to Ghana from Nigeria, because we just want as many more Nigerians to see Benin Republic, Togo, Ghana, and see how connected we truly are. So I don't see Africa as, when I talk about Africa, and this is not to belittle Africa, to think that Africa is a country. No, Africa is a continent, but as a people, we are more connected than we imagine. And all the divisions that have been put, visa restrictions, work permit restrictions, by the time you sit in the room with the Zimbabwean, with the South African, with the Zambian, you're like, come on, like, this is like, when I got into the studio this morning and you mentioned my name, I think that was when your colleague realized that I wasn't Ghanaian. I would pass for a Ghanaian in the way I look as well. And that's how it is. Like, if I met you in Lagos today, I would not even say you're a Ghanaian.
They think I'm Igbo.
Exactly. Exactly. So all of us are like, we're really connected, and it's exciting to see that.
I mean, I was walking through Lagos with my good friend Friday, and this guy approaches us and he's talking to me like an Igbo man, and I'm telling Lagos to tell him that I'm Ghanaian, and it's like, why are we cracking jokes at his expense? He really thought I was Igbo. Anyway, that is a big dream. When is this bus moving?
This is going to be January 31st. All the details will be on our app and on our website. They should just make sure that they have the app installed, and we have push notifications, and on social media as well, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Like, a lot of people can see us as Vesti Official.
The Africa Continental Free Trade Area, headquartered in Ghana. Have you engaged them in any way? Because I'm wondering where the synergy in what you're doing with what AFTA wants to do it.
So what we've decided to do, because of my experience with government, is that, and multilateral organizations, is that we started out as a B2C model. And the trick is that if you already get a significant number of people behind you
on your side,
it makes it a lot easier. So 2025 is the year that we're engaging with the African Union, with the United Nations, with the AFCTA, African Development Bank. These are all key partner stakeholders on this journey, especially in getting them to have a buy-in that the net brain gain is a thing. If Professor Akinwumi Adesina had not gotten, some of the Western education, exposure, partnerships, friendships that they can leverage today to bring the value he's bringing at the AFDB, I doubt he would have been able to do much. Yeah. Same with Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala and many of our founding fathers, even for Ghana and Nigeria. Like, they're people with massive exposure. You can see the way they speak. You can see they are learned. They're well-read. They have all this value that comes from all over the world. And it's not just an African thing seeking Western, civilization. You would find that some of the best Americans or Europeans you will ever talk to are the ones who have exposure, who have come to Africa, gone to Asia.
It's true.
The other ones are just like, they'll be asking you silly questions,
exactly.
right?
Are there cars in Accra? Do you still live on trees?
Do you still live on trees? But the ones that you will enjoy the best conversations were the ones that are well-traveled, well-read, who have made friends all over the world. So that's part of what we want to do. Gain buy-in with these top organizations who are very integral. I have said before that imagine the African Development Bank as a fund that anybody who is talented and wants to perform on any stage all over the world, whether as a sports person, entertainer, can go without worrying about financial. Do you know how many people that financial issues have held them down from showing up on global stages? Imagine the African Development Bank had resources to make sure that, if you're a first runner-up at this competition, or if you're a qualifier representing Africa at this competition, this is an account you can draw from to go and perform. These are the kind of initiatives we want to do with the AFDB.
I said you want to change the world. I mean, I started by saying you want to change Africa. Now you want to change the world. But you're absolutely right. You're looking at the early 50s into the early 60s. The chunk of our freedom fighters, those who came to kick out colonialism, actually had experience in the West.
That's right.
Nkrumahs and all of them
Yes.
came down, changed stuff. I mean, so that is the kind of thinking that you're now putting in me. Please don't start downloading the app yet. The way some people want to download and jackpot right now. Don't start downloading. We're not done with the interview yet. Vesti is Easy's Israel Desire. Is Easy's model, or what is the heavyweight guy's name? Francis Ngannou's. Are those the things that you look at and say Vesti is going to work?
Absolutely. Those are things I look at. I also look at Elon Musk as a South African, Canadian immigrant to the US. I look at Israel Adesanya. I look at Toby Amusan, the Olympic.
Yeah.
I look at all of these people across a variety of industries. I look at scientists like Ibukun Adebolu, who built this education satellite that went to space on the Falcon 9 of Elon Musk. I look at all of these people. Tokwe Awoton, who built Calendly, it's now a $3 billion company. I looked at all of these people who either went to seek education and became immigrants and started building there, or just outrightly built their strength from Ghana and Nigeria and South Africa and went to perform. And so it's across sports, entertainment, business, entrepreneurship, technology. We just have stars in all of these places. And all of these stars can find expressions, and that's really what Vesti is about, making sure that there is no barrier to that dream.
The way the technical guys are here, I'm sure they're downloading the app right now. They are the people I don't trust at all. I mean, because they are technical guys, they know something we don't know. Now, reading the Jackpot stories,
yes,
people who said they listened to you during the COVID time and then you convinced them or you changed their mind and they are now out there. Could you tell me a story of somebody who started from absolutely zero and now through Vesti and your whole jackpot thing you did, the person is doing well out there?
Well, I would, if I wanted
there
to
are
start
millions
today,
of them.
If I want to start today, I would not finish. We'll take the whole shows for the month, But there are a few examples I can give you, like Ajayi Olusola, who basically is somebody interested in crypto and blockchain from Nigeria.
Okay.
But because anytime you talk about crypto in Nigeria, everybody looks at you like maybe you are into fraud and all
guy.
of that.
Yeah.
So you wanted to help people understand that blockchain was beyond crypto, and as a businessman, he got on the track for the O1 visa, the special talent visa. He learned about what he should do. He published a book on blockchain, and then joined the US Blockchain Council. And within a couple of months, him and his family were able to move to Chicago. And now he hosts workshops and events. Now with the boom again that is coming to blockchain, I see him blowing up and exploding. There are a number of founders, number of startup founders as well, like founder of ClockPay, Martin Zejeri, who moved with the H-1B visa, he helped us in starting Vesti back in the day, and with this family as well, was able to move, and now is building a company that just got into a Silicon Valley accelerator in California. I can give you a story of Yewande Adekoya, a real estate person who also, got into the program. She didn't know that the fact that she has been a leader in church all the while qualifies for leadership as a requirement for the program.
What is this guy saying?
What
is he saying?
So when the documentation was done, I was like, oh, she's been a leader of women in an establishment that has over 3,000 women, which is the Foursquare Women International, and that became the reason why she got her O1 visa, amongst other things she's achieved. She's written a couple of books as well. So there are tons of people. There are motivational speakers who wanted to access a new market and earn in dollars versus just, dealing with the inflation going on in their home country, and they were able to move. Like so many that I can't count. There is Okewa Oweye, who as a student, she was working in a bank for like 8 years. She used to tell me that the bank's card have because, they don't pay well, the stress is much. And she said, okay, now she's ready. She's one of the people who attended the webinar. And then she moved and she found out that she didn't need $20,000, $30,000 to go to Eastern Illinois University. She just needed a deposit of about $1,000. Not only did she get into that school, she got a graduate assistantship. She eventually finished with a dual master's in strategic management and leadership. And now she's doing great in the United States. So there's just like so many people that, too many to mention.
Amazing.
That are doing well.
I spent quite a while reading through the stories. And that was when I told Adam that I'm bringing him a legend into the studios today because this guy's literally changing lives. Like when they say somebody has changed somebody's life, what is more life-changing than encouraging and facilitating somebody moving from one country to another? That you've literally changed the person's life. Change the person's everything, So I was telling my social media guy that I'm bringing a legend into the studio. He would want to listen to you. Educational immigration. Yeah. So many things that you're doing. I keep asking myself, what is the end looking? In fact, there won't be an end because from what you're saying, it's going to be on and on and on.
That's right.
What do you see Vesti doing to this continent in the next 10 years?
Yeah, I think one of the things that Vesti is going to do is that aside from taking Africa, you can't really carry African land. When you think about when they say Africa is, you want to take Africa to the world, it's not by carrying the land. It's about moving the people and the ideas. Mm. So I think what would have happened is that people would get a way better understanding of who Africans are, like in the next 10 years. Vesti would be serving, millions and millions of Africans. Our goal within the next 10 years is to be like a 200, 300 million user platform, essentially in terms of how much impact we would have had. So we believe that the world will see Africa differently. But what I want to talk about more is what would have happened to Africa as a result of our platform. So as a result of our platform, you would have seen many more Africans who are financially empowered, economically empowered, from a purpose standpoint, can now bring the value that they are creating in those places and headquarter it back home to Africa. So there is this Club 700 thing we initiated where we want to make 700 billionaires in dollars, from the community and cohort of people that use our platform, ultimately. So whether you became a top scientist or you became a top music entrepreneur or you became a top, mobile developer, or you ended up becoming the CEO of Google or Nvidia or Microsoft, those companies have shown you that anybody can come from anywhere in the world as long as talent is universal. This talent can come from anywhere. Now, those people, those 700 people are the ones we really... So we won't be talking about only having a handful of billionaires. Go to Hong Kong today, it's like hundreds of millionaires. The US is, minting new billionaires every single year, and we can do the same. That's when we can write off debts of countries. That's what we can, essentially, that's really when we can do that. We can say, you know what, we're not borrowing from the IMF, we're not borrowing from the World Bank. We want 2-3 billionaires to do this for us because they're of Ghanaian descent and this is what they should be doing and transforming the world.
Please look out for his name so that you look out for him. I'm not the one making these, in quotes, outrageous, absolutely outrageous comments. His name is Olusola Amusan. He's here. He's in Ghana here. So tell me about Vesti Ghana. What is the setup like in Ghana?
Yeah. So Vesti Ghana We started the work about a year ago,
Okay.
and 2025 is really when we are going to go very, very open. We're doing a public launch in Q1 for Vesti Ghana. What we started to do is do research into. We don't want to believe that the fact that it worked or is working in Nigeria, that it's the exact same thing that Ghanaians need. Even though we're so close, we're like brothers. We've been spending time finding out what exactly Ghanaians want and how it's going to work here. The same thing we did when we launched in Zambia and the UK. We are going to be hiring software engineers. We're going to be hiring engineers. We're going to be hiring product managers. So we're creating jobs here in Ghana. And the whole idea is to make sure that the people that are building the platform are close to the market as much as possible.
Okay.
Also, we're going to be having a customer success location here as well. For every country we move to, we usually have a center of excellence in something.
Okay.
So we find out what the people are the best at. So, for example, for Canada, we have our AI and cybersecurity center of excellence there. We just built a new engineering center of excellence in Lagos. You should see it in January.
I would
it's
be
a really
in Lagos.
fantastic
Yeah, I would
location.
love to do that.
So in Ghana, we're also at the point of concluding what the center of excellence will be for Ghana, because we always want to put our foot on the ground, even with real estate investment. So there's a lot of opportunities that will be created as a result of Vesti being in Ghana. Like I said, over 10,000 Ghanaians already use Vesti. So this is in preparation for our launch. So ultimately, within the next 1-2 years, we want to have 1 million or 2 million users in Ghana as well.
One of the things and this might be one of my final questions, when I was looking at the whole Vesti thing and read about the numbers and the community that you had formed, because everybody was coming, he did this, I didn't know I could do this. And then it came to mind, like, what if Vesti decided to be the next social for Africa? Like a Facebook kind of a community kind of a thing. I mean, is that something that has crossed your path or come to mind?
Yeah, well, it does. From an ambition standpoint, growing the company to be as big or bigger than Meta, which is the family name for Facebook, has definitely crossed our minds. We're also big fans of like what Facebook has done, evolving from a social company to like a total technology giant that is even making like VR headsets.
Exactly.
Virtual reality is one of the areas we're exploring. We want people to be able to see the countries they are going to before they get there, and also be able to go through the schools and the communities. So it's easier on their minds when they arrive there. Definitely there is a part of our platform that is communities. We call it Meets.
Okay.
So Meets allows people to be able to currently chat with each other and connect, but there are people who are all of like minds and are trying to move to a new country. And so also in the new countries, we have groups as well. Say you are new, you want to find out your driver's license, you want to find out to do this and that, you have that community. So it's called Meets by Vesti. We have a big announcement coming for Meets in next quarter that has to do with love, but I won't say much about it right now.
Here we go. I mean, the ideas just keep flowing off the tip of his tongue. His name is Olusola Amusan. Shola, where is Vesti headquartered?
Right now, we're headquartered in Dallas, Texas, but we have offices in Lagos, Nigeria. Now we have a space in Africa Works in Ghana here. We are in Zambia, in the UK as well. So our headquarters is in Dallas, Texas.
Okay. And evidently, you've done a super amazing job at this. Africa should be proud of you. I mean, when we go for conferences and they talk of Africans being the next wave and the ideas, and we're smart, probably you become the poster boy. I mean, pretty soon you become the poster boy for what Africans can do when we put our minds to it. Any final words?
Yeah, I just want to say that, like we say, talent is universal, but opportunity is not. What Vesti is trying to do is to create opportunities for African talents to be able to see the world. Like, this blue planet is amazing. There's so many great things from every corner of the world that we have to see and experience. And that salt that you are, that value that you are, the world has to see it. And Vesti wants to be the bridge to make sure that happens.
I couldn't put it any better, so there's nothing else to say. than just to say it's 5 minutes to the top of the hour. Coming up at 10 a.m. and beyond is NYA, the brand with the brighter side. She's mid mornings queen, and she's going to treat you to another exciting experience on the show. But I would leave you with just one statement, like I always do. In everything you do, pray like it only depends on God. But please, when you work too, work like it only depends on you. Have a good one, people. Tomorrow, we're back with a Thursday edition of the Business Breakfast on Z101.9 FM.